exactly is the sun in Warcraft? Are the stars in this franchise the same kind of fiery balls of plasma and gas that humans observe from Earth? Or is there something more fantastic going on? And could Azshara's sun be the true source of the old gods? Welcome back, heroes. I'm your host, Nazax, and today we're tying together clues from Chronicle, The War Within, and previous expansions to attempt to probe these very questions. Today's report, Shards of Light in the Shadows of Night. A world united in a cosmos divided. Let's start with what we know from canon so far. Well, turns out we actually know very little, and there's no direct confirmation in lore that states the factual nature and origin of solar bodies, but we can infer and speculate based on their observable effects. Across Azeroth and even on Draenor, numerous cultures have not only idolized but harnessed the powers of solar magic, a fiery, often sacred light, supposedly manifested as nature magic. Solar energy is typically depicted as a blessed fiery light, embodying both destructively purifying and radiantly renewing aspects. Beginning with the peaceful Tauren of Kalimdor, let's go over their reference and history of Anshe, the sun, whose power is believed to be the source of strength for the Order of Tauren Paladins, known as the Sunwalkers. It is said that this order was founded after theological discussions between the Tauren about the importance of balancing out the Night Elf focus on moon worship through the reverence of light as part of the Tauren's worship of the Earth Mother. In the elven lands of Quel'Thalas, the Highborn conjured the mystical Sunwell using a vial from the Well of Eternity. Despite the name given for its creator, Dathramar Sunstrider, there is no solar magic directly correlated with the magical font, and was actually all originally arcane power, now imbued with the holy light of the NAARU. And then there's the Arakkoa, the Kaliri-ascended bird folk from Draenor, and their extremely ancient origins from the sun goddess Rukmar. In the distant past of Draenor, a great battle ensued between three magical wild god-like beings, Sethek, Anzu, and Rukmar. In the aftermath of their war, the sun goddess Rukmar fashioned the Arakkoa from the owl-like Kaliri in honor of her fallen brother Anzu. Her children would rise to phenomenal heights, becoming known as the Apexis. Under the guidance of their solar deity, the Arakkoa learned to harness the power of Draenor's sun, wielding and capturing its fiery light in crystals and constructs. The Apexis were one of the most advanced civilizations known in the Warcraft cosmos, in time becoming masters of both the holy light and the shadows of the void. A society of immense potential held in a delicate balance. The power of the Apexis ultimately led to their self-imploding downfall. The Arakkoa we know today from Outland, and even the solar magic-wielding adherents of Rukmar from time-lost Draenor, are but glimmers of the original Apexis civilization. From these three examples, we can see that despite being categorized separately, the natural solar magic of suns and the cosmic holy magic of the light seem to be often closely associated, if not connected. So what gives? Today I will try to lay out a celestial framework that both justifies these mysteries and cuts through the blinded perceptions of the fiery shining lights that we call stars. Firstly, are suns and stars the same in Azeroth's universe as compared to Earth's? Are the stars merely giant balls of fiery gas and magic, or are they something else entirely? In the real world, stars are massive glowing spheres of plasma powered by nuclear fusion. Yet in Warcraft, the newest cinematic depiction of Azeroth's Worldsoul as a spherical plasmatic entity resembling a solar body suggests that there might be something more to the twinkling lights above us, and that the visual niche of stars and suns as we know them is already taken by the Worldsoul. This visual discrepancy with the Worldsoul invites us to explore deeper, literally. In the upcoming expansion, The War Within, players can find a giant glowing crystal in the underground zone of Hallowfall, which is referred to as both a crystal sun by Blizzard and a falling star by the Arathi, despite being clearly neither sun or star by our conventional understanding. Similar to the Naaru, the crystal can be seen oscillating between light and void states. The Arathi here are wielding a sacred flame and venerate the crystal, even using it to grow crops of food. The solar appearance of Azeroth's World Soul being revealed at the same time we see this Naaru-like crystal sun in Hallowfall suggests that Warcraft's suns and stars might not be traditional nuclear fusion entities, and instead, World Souls occupy this cosmically visual niche within the core of planets. This could mean that the actual nature of Warcraft's illuminating celestial bodies is something we've yet to officially discover. But what if I told you that's all about to change? What if this giant crystal sun, this fallen star in Hallowfall, isn't just an object of the narrow-minded Naaru, but a massive clue at the true nature of Azeroth's actual sun? A microcosm of the macrocosm. So do we even know the origins of stars? While Chronicle's mythos avoids stating where the stars and sun come from in any concrete way, there are a few lines that we can read into with new perspective. In Volume 1, it says, quote, "The cataclysmic birth of the cosmos also flung shards of light throughout reality. These shards suffused the matter of myriad worlds with the spark of life, giving rise to creatures of wondrous and terrible diversity." Now, we could link this quote to the Hallowfall crystal itself, imagining these shards literally embedding themselves in a world's crust. But I'm betting on the Hallowfall crystal being a ship or vessel for something inside. And after all, given that there are no concrete descriptions about stars themselves, aren't these lines in Chronicle detailing the shards of light basically the closest thing we have? That's right, I'm saying it. Azeroth's sun is a giant crystal shard, one of the many that were scattered by the birth of the cosmos. Allow me to explain. If we take this first quote from Chronicle as a suggestion to the nature of stars in Warcraft, a consistent through line can be found as we read on further. Quote, "Occasionally, clouds of fractured light gathered and gave shape to beings of far greater power, of far greater potential. Among these were the Naaru, benevolent creatures composed of scintillating holy energies. The Naaru vowed to use their mastery over holy magic to spread hope and nurture life wherever they could find it. Now, magnificent as the Naaru are, we all know that they've got one heck of a cold shoulder, and when weakened, damaged, or killed, the Naaru have been known to lose touch with the light and fall to the void. A rare but natural condition and cycle of their kind. In this void state, a fallen Naaru can either decay completely and become a void god, Lord if you're writing a book, or under favorable circumstances, the Naaru can regenerate into a holy form once again. And then here we have this crystal in Hallowfall, shifting periodically between light and void. The thing is, this crystal oscillates much more rapidly than the Naaru's millennia-long transition. So what's causing the Hallowfall crystal to change then? We still don't know yet, but perhaps we can take some guesses. Let's just say I think there could be a war within the crystal itself, only reflecting what's happening on the inside, rather than the crystal itself having its own cycle. So let's get back to the stars. Though the reasoning might be different than the Hallowfall crystal and the Naaru, we ought to be asking the question, if Azeroth's sun is a massive shard of crystallized light, is it possible that it too could turn to the void? And is there any evidence of stars behaving this way? Introducing Anshul, the Cosmic Wanderer, a celestial object of immense void power, wielded by Scale Commander Sagareth in our battle with him, as he threatens to burn us in the light of a, quote, dying star. Such abilities as Scouring Eternity pummel us with shadowy supernova, and our heroes deal with malformed lumps of flesh, accumulated from the pools of dark void energy. Players themselves can also harness the power of Anshul with the trinket Beacon of the Beyond, which briefly opens a pair of gates to the void to redirect the orbit of Anshul the Cosmic Wanderer. If Anshul is the dying void state of a once radiant star, then this could align the celestial body with the intertwined nature of the cosmic void and light, and provide some reasoning to suppose that the sun and stars in Warcraft embody the same cycle. But you might still ask, who's to say that the sun and stars are even still the same thing in this universe? The answer there lies in the name, Anshul, which is reminiscent of the name given to the sun by the Tauren, Anshe. Whether the Tauren named this void star or the Tauren word of Anshe derives from another source is still uncertain. But clearly Blizzard are trying to let us correlate the two. And when we mix all these spices together in the Sunwalker peace pipe, a dazzling new perspective reveals itself. We can imagine a unifying framework of solar interpretations and cosmic function that begins with the established mythos from Chronicle and then speculates further. From the cataclysmic collision of the pure light and shadow, shards of light were flung throughout reality, becoming the first stars and suns. These massive crystal shards reverberate with holy energies, exuding spirit and light, eventually suffusing the matter of the orbiting planets with the spark of life. Fractured shards gather in nebulous clouds and birth beings like the Naaru, perhaps even beginning in a darkened state, and eventually regenerating into the light forms we see. However, the shards of light, the stars themselves, could also, like the Naaru, be susceptible to this cosmic cycle, and through unfavorable circumstances, darken into a dying void star, just like Anshul, the cosmic wanderer. If this were true, one of Chronicle's biggest head-scratchers finally starts making a little more sense. The origin of the old gods. In the Mythos chapters of Chronicle Volume 1, it is said that, quote, the Void Lords did not know which worlds contained slumbering Titan spirits. Thus, they pooled their power and hurled dark creatures throughout the physical universe, hoping that some would smash into a world soul. An unknown number of the Void Lord's creations hurtled through the Great Dark. Considering the statistic improbability of this scenario, isn't it awfully unlikely that Azshara alone would have 4 or 5 old gods? I mean, where exactly in space did they conjure these fleshy masses from? And from what direction did they shoot them? For a supposedly completely blind plan, they sure were successful with Azshara in particular, don't you think? Well, a few lines earlier in the same chapter, we're told that the Void Lords toiled to manifest in the physical universe. As they did so, their energies seeped into reality, warping some of the unsuspecting denizens of creation. What if, instead of randomly pooling their energy to some undetermined spot in space, the Void Lords pooled their energy into the darkening stars and Naaru, the unsuspecting denizens of creation warped by the seeping energies? In this scenario, we hypothesize that Azshara's own sun, a massive crystal shard, was once in a darkened void state. For a long time or a short time, we cannot be sure. But what if Azshara's blackened sun, much like Anshul's clinging void energy creating lumps of flesh, similarly resulted in the formation of dark creatures hurtling toward the orbiting planets of the solar system? And our sun, in its once void fallen state, is the true source of the old gods on Azshara. If this were the case, the probability of Azshara alone having so many old gods is highly increased. And we no longer have to wrap our minds around the intangible mathematical improbability of the story told in Chronicles. So what am I saying? That the Chronicles lied or that the Titans didn't know this? Well, not exactly, but maybe a blend of both. It could be that we were given a half-truth, conveniently leaving out the part where Azshara's sun and all stars are capable of falling to the void. Considering that the Void Lords did not know where world souls were sleeping, what if they pooled their power into not just one star, but all of the stars? Perhaps because of their shared origin point between themselves and the Shards of Light, both born of the cosmic collision, the Void Lords were able to stack their energy and manifest a starless night. An hour of twilight, you might say. A cosmos-wide burst in effort, sending those, quote, unknown number of old gods into the physical universe, scouring eternity for slumbering world souls. So, why the half-truth and skewed history? Well, the last thing that the Titans need is for anyone to know that the sun can effectively be turned off. And that's assuming that they themselves even fully understood the nature of this phenomenon. I mean, after all, even if they did, wouldn't the known standard of what the Titans tend to tolerate indicate that such an inevitable, perhaps uncontrollable, albeit balanced celestial cycle would be seen as an offense to their orderly thinking? Now you might be wondering, what about Anshe? Where does the Tauren's legendary solar hero fit into this picture? Am I saying that Anshe isn't real? Let's review some new evidence from Season of Discovery, where players will find a shard of pure light in Alterac Mountain. A nearby Tauren NPC remarks how some of his kind would regard this crystal as a tear wept by Anshe, the Eye of the Earth Mother. When we consider that this crystal in Alterac Mountain was added to Season of Discovery alongside the reveal of the War Within's Hallowfall crystal, and seeing how Xal'atath seems to appear in the quests that deal with this shard of pure light, I think we can finally begin to unify the varied spiritual understandings of the sun on Azeroth. See, given how Hallowfall's crystal sun is so reminiscent of the Naaru and their vessels, this connection through Season of Discovery's supposed tear wept by Anshe suggests a possible connection between the cosmic shards of light, therefore by extension the Naaru, and the Tauren's solar deity. And this reminds me of when Archmage Khadgar had a wild hypothesis, one he proved successful no less, that he could activate the heart of the Prime Naaru Zera using the tears of Elune. Khadgar suggested he came upon this idea when reading a passage indicating that the Prime Naaru may have been created by Elune during the Great Ordering of Light and Shadow. And the Prophet Velen suggested that Elune's light was similar to that of a powerful Naaru. Now, with the new Season of Discovery and War Within lore, both Elune and Anshe have suggested links connecting to the Naaru. Okay, so what's Elune, a perceived lunar deity, got to do with this whole solar theory? Well, my friends, we need to consider the source of the moon's light. Back in Legion at Val'Sharah's Temple of Elune, we witnessed a solar eclipse, a conjunction between the sun and moon, claiming the spirit of the green dragon Ysera as tendrils of gentle white light reach down and pull her into the starry sky above. And then there's the star-crossed, purple, user-consuming magic from the sacrificial Night Warrior ritual, invoked by the priestess Tyrande Whisperwind, which calls upon the darkest face of her goddess, the new moon. In other words, the absence of light. A direct parallel and reflection of the original Void mythos. Now take a look at this dual-themed temple topper, added in Nazjatar, found in the ancient ruins of Elune Temple. We might speculate that this highborn-made sigil representing Elune as both light and shadow draws closer to the bigger picture that the Tauren already recognize. That Elune is not simply the lunar goddess, but the celestial deity spanning both cultures. Unlike Elune, whose name and presence seems to be known on other planets, we have very little to go on regarding Anshe besides what the Tauren have provided us. While I wouldn't rule out the possibility of a solar-themed buffalo-styled wild god akin to the Arakkoa's Rukmar that possibly influenced the history of the Tauren's ancestors, I think it needs to be respectfully recognized that such stories as Eyes of the Earth Mother are inspired by the many beautiful legends of the indigenous cultures from Earth's so-called American continents. These stories, with iconic characters such as the Thunderbird and the Raven who stole the sun, hold a deeper meaning than a literal interpretation. Mythical, often timeless lessons are woven into a visually stimulating, thought-provoking, and symbolic story shared across generations. But let's cut the hippie crap and shoot straight like the logical Kajamite-fueled goblins we are. There ain't actually a Thunderbird causing the lightning every time there's a storm, alright? Then taking the Tauren's legends and tales as gospel when dealing with the extraterrestrial cosmic forces beyond the solar system would be missing the point of their honored storytelling tradition. I'm not saying Anshe isn't real, but as far as we can tell, it's simply a name from a legend. And unlike Elune with her potentially interstellar influence, the Tauren Sunwalker's faith and belief is the only example of any powers or blessings seemingly coming from the solar god Anshe, which can be summed up to a half-understood truth. And the same can be said for the Night Elves. You see, while they may have gotten the right name for the celestial deity, the Night Elves got caught up on the lunar aspect and were content in not questioning the source of the moon's light. Whereas on the other hand, the Tauren recognized the bigger picture and proudly applied their own names and characterizations to each aspect of the celestial deity. Neither had the whole truth, but both had valuable parts. This unifying theology aims to respect both the Tauren and Night Elves' cultural significance in the Warcraft franchise. Like Sun and Moon, the Tauren and Night Elves reflect the varied aspects of the cosmos, both of them ultimately coming from and following the same light. The sun that Azshara orbits, the crystal shard of pure light, and one of the many stars that are the Shards of Elune. So let's recap and conclude. The initial cosmic collision of pure light and shadow that birthed our universe scattered shards of pure light across reality, becoming the stars we know today. These shards, these suns, are the suffusing force for the spark of life among the many worlds. However, the twinkling stars above can also embody the cosmic void, and are the very sources that the Void Lords poured their power into when creating the old gods. The suns in Warcraft's universe may not just be the life-nurturing providers of light and spirit like Anshe, but also the light-devouring void stars like Anshul. A balanced cosmic cycle of light and shadow forces, creating and destroying across eternity. A fatal flaw in existence itself. The perfect recipe of paradoxical function that could drive even the noblest of titans to madness. Depends on who you ask. And that's where our journey across the stars comes to its end. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Knowledge Wars, where the truth isn't just out there, it's buried under layers of celestial secrets and titan machinery. Remember, folks, you are the resistance to a cosmos divided.